Joy.
All right, mate. How are we getting on?
I'm all right, mate. So here at Morris Lubricants, right? And in previous episodes, you've seen how oil is made.
I've been here a day or two now,
You
mate.
have, absolutely. You're resident. You're almost a resident.
Nearly.
But today I just want to talk a little about classic oils for motorbikes, basically. So obviously here with your lovely, about 1964, this beast, I think?
Well, it's pre-65 legal. So they have to be a certain spec to be, but it's a trials bike, Triumph Tiger Cub pre-65, so it's all legal.
Perfect.
So it's about, it's about 1965.
Yeah,
something
sweet.
like that. It's got a few sort of bits that's close to the
mods on
modern
it.
stuff
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
It's just borderline
But you're
being
still where it needs
legal.
to be.
Which is
Perfect.
pre-65, mate.
Yeah, perfect. So, I mean, obviously with anything really, when it comes to engine oils or gear lubricants, it's about fitting the formulation, the specification to the engineering, of the time.
Yeah.
So as you know, modern bikes, modern sports bikes, the oils, the performance levels, the quality is all very, very different. But when we start stepping back in time a little bit, where you're looking at different machining tolerances, different engineering kind of aspects to these particular bikes, it's all about, as I say, getting the right oil technology, which is going to fit and make them run sweet, as if they've just come off the production line.
Okay.
So in this world, really, the mainstay is the monograde engine oil. So this will be things like monograde 40s, monograde 50s, or even 30s, depending on the model. And the reason why, and those oils are quite simple in the way they're formulated, because one of the biggest changes, really, from these older bikes and newer bikes is filtration for a start. Okay.
What these haven't got as good a filtration.
Yeah, so when you look at a modern bike, as you know, a modern screw-on filter, it's pretty good at taking the rubbish out, okay? They're pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But when you start to go back a little bit in time to where you're really just relying on a mesh strainer, essentially.
There's no filter on this. There's a bit of a gauze in the bottom, but not much of a filter,
So a lot of those early oils were designed to get all the rubbish, get all the dirt, keep things nice and clean, but then dump it away in the casing out of the way, basically.
Okay.
Because you don't want it circulating. Of course, especially if it's carbonaceous and it's quite kind of rough and abrasive, the last thing you want is that then circulating around.
Of course, yeah. Okay. Good magnetic sump plug or something like that.
Something to drag it out. Yeah. So those earlier oils for those earlier bikes without filtration, just a strainer, that kind of monograde is ideally suited. And the other thing to consider as well, really, is the build tolerances. Because as you know, a modern four-stroke engine, for example,
they're nearly perfect, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, there's precision on there, like Swiss timepieces. So, but of course, when you start going back a few decades, to 30s, 40s, or 50s even, the engineering standards at the time were good, robust, but the tolerances weren't quite there. You didn't have the machining methods back in those times. So what you were kind of relying on then back then, really, is a good, I call it gloopy oil film, okay? So you want something that's going to provide you good oil film, whether it's on the bearings.
So what you're saying, just take up a bit of slack, is that what you're saying?
Take up a bit of slack.
Right.
Yeah.
So there isn't really a benefit from running a modern oil in a classic bike?
Not if it's still, I mean, obviously people will do work on their engines, and they might bring it up to modern machining standards, but if you've got something which is true to its original design, you want to take up some of that play, really. So the kind of monograde 40s really are quite, favoured in these kind of older vintage bikes. And when I say vintage, going back, way back as well. And then, of course, a lot of the gearboxes, they were a lot simpler back then. And they used to share, some of them used to use the same engine oil technology. I mean, it's not unusual for SA30 or SA40 engine oils to be used in the gearboxes of the models as well.
Okay, yeah.
So, because again, you haven't got the same amount of power going through, obviously how powerful you can get a modern road bike these days compared to a vintage and classic. I mean, the horsepower ratings are very different, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have the same stresses and strains going through the gearbox. So, a good, formulated monograde engine oil was ideal, essentially. So you've got that to consider. And then, of course, when the first kind of two-strokes came through as well, when they first came out, you didn't have dosing systems and metering systems.
Oh, pre-mixing the fuel.
Get the tank, tossed it around, or in your fuel can, put it in,
Oh, the O-bar, 25 to 1 and all that.
Pretty kind of, rich kind of mixtures. Because again, you've got the build tolerances, those early two-strokes needed a little bit of help. And so a lot of those earlier two-stroke oils were quite thick as well. So, okay, you let them down in fuel, but you want to try and compensate for that a little bit. So they're a bit heavier, basically. And you didn't have the power valves and things that you've got now and various other things, the the exhaust porting and various, it's different in intake ports. It's all very different to what we've got now. So those early two-stroke lubricants were quite, again, gloopy, for want of a better description. And of course, you know, with emissions now and newer bikes, so everything's got to be cleaner burning. You don't want oil mist going down the exhaust pipe, various other things. Back in the day, of course, that wasn't an issue. So, you know, there was a reasonable amount of oil coming out with the exhaust gases as well. Which has all changed now, of course. So it's really a case of, like everything in this world, is making sure that whatever equipment you've got, whatever the design you've got, is that you are selecting the correct lubricant, which is sympathetic to that design. So we have our golden film range of products. We have all the monogrades. We have straight gear lubricants as well, because obviously some may take a gear lubricant.
I'm doing this, 85, 90 in the primary and in the gearbox.
Absolutely, you know, and again, we have to be sympathetic towards if there's any copper, any phosphor bronze in there, which, you know, in some of the early designs there may have been. And modern EP gear oils will attack the copper and phosphor bronze, so you don't want that. Yeah, it'll go for the copper. The sulfur will go for the copper.
Right.
Which obviously then degrades it. So, you know, so we have the kind of straight gear oils, which don't have sulfur in there, but still provide a good lubricating oil film. So the golden film range is kind of sympathetic to the older classic and vintage bike, basically. And of course, then going through to where we are today with the modern bikes, of course, we can provide the newer technology. But yeah, so, you know, whatever the design was, be sympathetic towards it and use lubricants which would have been around at the time to provide the correct levels of protection. So there you go.
You're on it, mate. You're on it. We're covered in all areas. That's what we've got, all the golden film stuff there.
Exactly.
And what else we got? MD4.
Yeah. So some of the workshop products.
You can't be the MD4,
mate. You love a bit of MD4, don't you?
Yeah, my favourite, mate.
One of your favourites. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, car cleaner.
Cleaners. Solvent cleaner for generally for brake parts.
Yeah. Sound job, mate. Sound job.
Yeah.
Sound job. Oh, thanks very much.
Okay, guys. Pleasure. No problem at all. Excellent. So if you'd like to see any more content like this, please visit the Morris Lubricants website or our YouTube channel.